Greetings, everyone. Let me say peace, love, light to you all. May all be well with you, your loved ones, and your everyday life, right? May the Most High um guide you each and every day onward to positive things. And I say again, much love to you all. Now, we know that the information is being censored. We know this, right? But for the platforms that are not being censored, because there are still some mainstream platforms that still play and still do interviews with these governors, these mayors, press briefings, and you just have to know what to listen for. And they're telling you, like in Philadelphia, they're banning minor traffic stops, right? And the average Negro or the average person will say, well, that's a victory, right? These activist groups or groups under the guise of activism will say that's a victory, but it's not a victory. It's a loss. Why is it a loss? Because the countless murders that took place with men and women in uniform because of traffic stops, the millions of men and women that was arrested had their lives ruined, families broken up because they were probably on probation and got stopped during a traffic stop. A traffic stop that was unlawful in the first place because the law states that one has the right to travel freely. And the Supreme Court ruled in case law that you have the right to travel freely, whether it be by horse or buggy or automobile in your means of your private conveyance from point A to point B, as long as you are not doing commerce, which is business, right? So when folks are saying to you the law that is supposed to be um, honored, respect, and protected, the laws is the Constitution, your constitutional rights, right? What they would also say falls on the common law, which is the law of the land. So anything that anyone makes, whether that be a governor, a mayor, a senator, a congressman, a president, any policies or any other laws that they create that goes against the Constitution, those laws are null and void. And that is treason. Any laws that are created is supposed to go side by side, hand in hand with the Constitution, not contradictory to the Constitution. This goes for all countries that have a constitution. Now, when I said that the mandate goes against the Constitution and that's treason, that's an act of treason. And any policies and any laws that is passed by Congress or the Senate that goes against the Constitution is automatically void. Okay? It is automatically void. They don't exist. This is what makes them fall back to being corporate policies, not laws. All right? Now you see the Florida governor. What is his name? what is his name? Let me pull this up. DeSantis. What this man is doing, the stance that this man has taken, it's admirable because he's no longer speaking in double speech anymore. He's telling you direct, straight what it is. You just have to know what to listen for. We are in the time of the great reveal where everyone that has been corrupt, everyone that has taken a payout, everyone that has been behind the plan to commit mass genocide, to steal land, to purposely orchestrate a demise of an economy to starve out particular people so that they can create a reset to rewrite history and re-buy it back the lands of the people that they starve out. To destroy an entire race of people through genetic experimentation. And these people have been getting away with this for more than 50 years because your lack of knowledge, because of all these backwater organizations that call themselves activist groups that was a part of their MK Ultra brainwashing programming that they implanted in your community. They look like you and they don't look like you. Okay? Now people be like, what are you talking about? For example, when I first showed you the Lincoln Rockwell neo-Nazi at an event sitting in the front row of the Nation of Islam. Then I showed you, this was before young Pharaoh did it. I showed you that they were Masonic brothers with Elijah Muhammad in them. And this was how the Nation of Islam got a good portion of their lands in Georgia. This whole thing, when you heard Ron Paul saying to Fauci that this is theater, when you hear truth tellers like William Bill Fouts, may he rest in peace, tell you that even though they have on a uniform, even though they have on a robe, it's just a costume, it's acting. When you read the fine print on the mainstream media policy documents, and it tells you that the mainstream news is for entertainment purposes. That means majority of the stuff that they're showing are false flag events, meaning it's fake. It's not real. It's a whole bunch of actors running around. False flag don't also mean that it's fake. False flag could mean that they will orchestrate literally a mass shooting because they want to pass a gun law bill to take away your rights to bear arms. Because they know that they need to take the guns out your hands before they can lock you down into a Marxist communist system where you have no rights. And they can just kick down your door anytime they want to walk up in your shit, take out your children, take out your wife, take out your sons, put you back in the draft when they want. Don't need your permission to vaccinate you with all sorts of stuff. Like they're doing in DC right now, where if your child is 11 years old and above, you, the parent, cannot see the record of a stranger walking into the school and sticking a needle in your child's arm without you knowing it. And all this is going on because you lack knowledge of the things that you were supposed to have known: commerce, equity, common law, Constitution, international law, the ICCPR, indigenous laws, the UNDRIP, ADRIP, the difference between citizen and having an actual nationality, tribal identity. What is corporate and what is real and tangible property, fact and fiction, right? What is real and what is not. Now, the politicians, the ones who are waking up, are taking a hard stance against the mandates. People will be like, "Why? Why are they doing that? Oh, why are they doing that? And the virus. What virus? It's been now 2 years. 2 years. And you still can't give me 100 names of people that died right in your community from this pandemic. If everyone was supposed to come together and say, okay, let's make a list of people that died literally in my community, like meaning, for example, New York, in Brooklyn, you have Flatbush, you have East New York, you have Fort Greene, you have Brownsville, right? Say if you live in East New York, name me 100 names on the block that you live, because East New York is a bunch of buildings mostly and also little houses. But name me 100 names within a 5-block radius of where you live of people that died from COVID. Then tell me if the families had their bodies autopsied to prove that they died from COVID. You can't. So when we played the audio of Ron Paul questioning Fauci and Ron Paul breaking down that they have not done any research to back up majority of the stuff that they were saying. They can't tell you the number of people that died from COVID because they actually did not do the actual research. You understand? They've been making this stuff up this whole way, this whole time going through. So when you've seen governors like DeSantis take a hard stance, I mean, damn, does the it's like, do these people literally have to spell it out for you? Right? This is a your choice, my choice thing. You choose to get vaxxed, more power to you. I choose not to get vaxxed, respect it. I respect your choice, you respect my choice. You who are vaccinated shouldn't come to me and tell me, well, you can't come into this store to buy food to feed your children. And our hospital, if you're pregnant, we're not going to bring you to the maternity ward so you could give birth to your child because you're not vaccinated. When the very same people that's giving you the vaccine tells you that it doesn't stop you from getting sick. It does not prevent you from getting sick. And they never did an actual accurate study to say, well, this vaccine literally cuts down the number of chances of you getting sick. They fabricated all of that. And it's out now. And people still have all of these other politicians still abusing their power and locking stuff down. Now, the same people that owns the pharmaceutical companies, they're the same people that owns the testing facilities. The same people that owns those testing facilities are the same people that owns majority share in majority of these hospitals that these doctors work for. These are the same people that are under the umbrella of the CDC and the World Health Organization. They are all colleagues that work with each other. It's like if you go in a store and your coworker does wrong to a customer, but you ain't gonna snitch on your coworker. You're gonna hold your coworker down until you're behind the scenes. This is literally what's going on. Do you understand? Now, Listen to this. This is the Florida Governor DeSantis. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna talk a little through the audio because I don't want them to cut it and say that I played the whole thing without any form of critique or anything like that. That's these folks' policy for their network. So this is from Forbes, breaking news, and it says this is from 22 hours ago. Justin DeSantis responds to Biden's new OSHA ruling setting. Remember, I told you the ruling that OSHA did, saying that you are supposed to pay every week for a COVID test out of your own pocket. That ruling was bullshit because it takes at least a week before you get back the results of the first test. What they're doing is they're pressuring you and they're extorting you. That means OSHA is also compromised, and that you are supposed to also wear a mask. But in the very same OSHA guidelines, it tells you that the mask cause respiratory damage and oxygen deprivation. So how are they to put that in OSHA because of Biden's unlawful, illegal mandate? Do you understand? He does not have the authority nor the power to do so. So when you're seeing these people cave and doing what this man says, it's because the folks who are head of these portions of the subsidiaries of the corporate government, they are in leagues with this man. And you are supposed to be able to spot this and say, wait, hey, how are you passing this in OSHA? But here it says right here in OSHA that these masks cause oxygen deprivation, that it's supposed to maintain a breathing level of this amount. So if I'm doing this type of job and I'm on the job site, it's not doing that. It's killing me. You understand? It makes no sense. None. And no one is asking questions. No one is saying anything. Right? You have these public figures that shut you off from going to their press conferences because once they're a public figure, City Hall is supposed to be open at all times. The White House is supposed to be open at all times. The Capitol and the Senate, which is why they faked that attack on the Capitol, because it was to get you to not be able to go down there and lobby. Because every time they have a Senate or a Congress meeting, you can just walk right in and go there and make your stance. So if they're going to pass a bill that you don't agree with, you are their bosses, and you say no, they're supposed to stop. That's why they're called public servants. This is why they did that false flag attack on the Capitol. Oh, and they stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop, and no one went into that shit to see what kind of dirty secret she had in there. They just stole the laptop. Oh, and the FBI, they shot this person, but there's no muzzle fire from the gun. Where was the muzzle fire? Where was the blood from the woman that was shot? There was no blood. They have the money to do these things. They have the money to buy these actors. They have the money to set the stage and the scenery. Shit, the former governor of Minnesota, again, Jesse Ventura, showed you all of this. As a governor, the man showed you this, and people still ignored it. We already know that they put actors into the protesting crowds of the Black Lives Matter protests. We know that before they go even protest, the organizers of the protest sit down with the police and let them know the routes and the directions of where you're going to take and where to put their undercover cops in the crowd. And that is the same undercover cops that be throwing bricks at the other uniformed officers to stir up issues. None of these things are secret anymore. Understand that You've been allowing the boogeyman to play you all these years. But here, this man is taking a stance. He told you more than enough in this audio right here. Let's play it.
Well, good afternoon. A year and a half ago, we started with 15 days to slow the spread, and now it's gone to get jabbed or lose your job. And today's OSHA rule, very long time coming. We were waiting for it. That was issued. If you look at it, here it is. It's almost 500 pages. And so we're supposed to be a government of laws, not a government of men. This is 500 pages of a government of a bureaucracy, a government that is being run by executive edict, not in accordance with the typical constitutional processes. And the state of Florida is going to respond, and we will.
Hear what he said? Not in accordance with the constitutional processes. It has to go hand in hand with the Constitution, and that is the federal Constitution. Do you understand? It has to go hand in hand, well, with the national Constitution. Let me say, hand in hand with it. If it doesn't go hand in hand with it, it's not law. It's just a bunch of words on paper. And what they do, because they know that you're not going to read all of it, like the what is it, $2 trillion bill that Biden is trying to pass, where majority of the money is going to Israel and Saudi Arabia. Uh-huh. And then the money is also going to the immigrants that are coming across the Mexican border for their families. $450,000 for each family is what they're planning on giving. And you Negroes been here still asking for reparations, not waking up. Hmm? It has to go hand in hand. So they will create these documents of 2,000 pages, 500 pages, because they know you're not going to read it all. And within it, they have so many things that they're passing in that bill that doesn't even go to you. So here this man trying to pass a couple $1 trillion bill, and half of it is not even coming back to the Americas. It's going overseas. Israel, Saudi Arabia, these places that has nothing to do with you and the crisis that you are in. Okay? Let's play. Let's keep going.
Will combat the OSHA rule as soon as it's published. The state of Florida will be joining with Georgia and Alabama, as well as private plaintiffs, to file suit. This is a rule that is not consistent with the Constitution and is not legally authorized through congressional statutes.
Went to commercial. Hold on. Hold on.
There is no federal police power. The federal government can't just unilaterally impose medical policy under the guise of workplace regulation, and that is exactly what they're trying to do here. They don't provide any instances why the workplace is somehow different than anything else that's been done with any of this. This is an attempt to shoehorn policy through the bureaucracy in a way that will.
Hear what he said? They don't have the power. The president does not have the power to do so. It goes against the Constitution. And when he's talking about shoehorn policies, yeah, that is color of law. That's not actual law. And it is color of law is what they use for these minor traffic stops. And it is color of law in what they use in these houses of commerce that you call a courthouse. Color of law and law is not the same thing. White milk, black milk, color of law. Are you black? Are you white? No. You understand? All capital name, straw man name that they use in the court documents, color of law. That falls on the business, commerce. It has nothing to do with the law of the land. Okay? Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Be difficult for some of these individuals and private parties to resist. think it's interesting that this is being done under the guise of emergency power. This was announced 2 months ago, and it said this is an emergency and that this is grave danger is facing. Then why did it take you 2 months to issue the rule? And then, of course, the rule doesn't take effect until January, which is convenient because it'll minimize workforce disruptions over the holiday season, which we know we're likely to see anyways.
What did I tell you guys before? Now, the ICCPR, yeah, that treaty that over 147 countries signed on to, including Jamaica and what they call the United States. They signed on to this. The Nuremberg Code of 1947, they all signed on to these things. These are laws. And not even under an emergency act are they supposed to force you to take part in any human medical experiments or any form of medical experiment, or even if it's not a medical experiment, or even if it's FDA approved, they cannot mandate you to take a jab or a vaccine that you don't want. It's against the law. And those treaties, those laws, goes hand in hand with the Constitution. It doesn't go against it. You understand? So when you have the Jamaica Prime Minister doing the lockdowns and the shutdowns, it's against the law. He wasn't supposed to do that. Okay? It's all illegal, unlawful, violating international law and their very own constitutional law. Got to know these things, people. Let's keep going.
And then this would only exacerbate that.
I'm going to back it up a little bit. Now, he also mentioned about the holidays. I told y'all that this is the end of the third quarter going into the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. This is where they're going to try to pull in the bulk of their money. So anything that they're going to try to do to you, they're going to wait till after the holidays to do it to you. It's all about money. It's always been about money and enslavement of the people. That's all it's always been about. Okay? So this is why they're waiting until January to push through what they're going to push through, and that's what he's telling you. They didn't want to disrupt the holiday season. So if it was an emergency, they would have passed it before the holidays, but they didn't. They're waiting until after the holidays. You understand? This is what happens when your congressmen and your senators are able to invest in the stock market. And they're invested in these same companies that are telling them to lock you down, shut you down, starve you out. Because when their stocks drop, got to understand with the stock market. If I founded a business, a corporation, yeah, then it goes public. Then it goes on the stock market, meaning a lot of folks then can buy shares, right? But I already locked myself in to already have majority share. But everybody else will also come down and buy shares. So if there's big money folks that bought a big shares of it, they are now part owners of my corporation. I'm no longer the sole owner. Okay, this is where a chair board comes from. Your chair board, your council board of the corporation. All right. Now, when my stock drops, I could plummet my company's stock, which is against the law, but this is what they do. You plummet the stocks. If the stock was worth $100 today, you drop it, then you make it plummet down to $20. All right. And when it plummets down to $20, then it's called that's called a dump. You're dumping. People will sell. They'll sell because no one wants to lose any more money. And when a lot of folks sell and it drops down to $20, you're going to buy. So you're buying back majority share of your own stocks, meaning that you don't just double your profit, you quadrupled your profits. Okay? And because the United States is a federal corporation, they have to tank the economy for the value of the corporation to fall even further. And because other countries are investors in the United States federal corporation, they are now buying up majority share of the United States stock. So because China is one of the top countries that is buying shares of the US stock, okay, they now are going to have to start implementing systems that China has already implemented on their people over in China. Hence the censorship, hence the forced mandates, hence the outright in your face now human experimentations. Hence when the pastor Kevin Smith is telling you what they're doing in Jamaica is building these camps so that they can hold and lodge the bodies of the people that they starve out and experiment on. Hence they assassinated him and got rid of him. Hence Joe Biden, who's before he became president, supposed president, has always been in the pockets of the Chinese, and his son Hunter Biden that got paid billions of dollars from these people already. China bought up majority of the United States debt, along with Russia, Saudi Arabia, and all these other countries. Mexico also. Okay? So what is being enforced now is the policies of these countries, which are originally communistic countries, because it's the takeover. And it goes through a corporate takeover. Those who now have a lot of shares. So China had 1% share yesterday. They have about 16 to 20% share now today. Russia probably got 10% share. You understand? And the royal family still locked in for 50% share, 51%. Because it's the corporation is still under them. This is how this thing runs. Right? And if folks will be like, the US is not a corporation, 28 USC 3002-15A. That is the law, the federal law that tells you that the United States is a federal corporation. Then you go on Dun and Bradstreet, the listings of businesses that use that listing to also get grants and loans. You'll see the United States on there. It's a business. It's not a country. It's not a nation. It's a business. They can't declare it to be a country or a nation of a land that does not belong to these people. For the very people who are the original heirs of the land, they reclassified you as African American and took away the title of Indian away from you. Know your history. Got these pan fries out here telling you about Kemet and all this stuff when all they are is a bunch of oath takers from a secret order that took an oath to mislead you. Okay? And what you have now is you have the younger Masons, because it's a reset. So they lined it up for the younger generation of Masons to overthrow the older generation of Masons. So you're going to see the younger ones expose a lot of the older ones. You're going to start seeing that. Don't mean because they're exposing them that they're for you. Yeah, that was a jab. Y'all know who I took a jab at. But let's keep going. Let's play this.
This is not consistent with a government of limited and enumerated powers. There is no general police power. There's no power to mandate on the American people from the federal government. People will sometimes point out about state mandates and how those have been imposed through the years and the constitutionality has been upheld. States clearly have a general police power, whatever the wisdom of a particular mandate is. Much different when the federal government is imposing that on tens of millions of Americans, particularly without any legislative sanction. At the end of the day, individuals should make informed choices about their own health care. They shouldn't be coerced into getting a jab. In this situation, you're going to have people that are going to have to make that decision. Do you get fired from your job, or do you do this if this may be something that you don't think is something that you want to do? And just be clear with what OSHA is doing. They're clearly not doing science because they reject immunity through prior infection. They reject the Israel study and all the very strong studies that have come out that show people that have recovered from COVID have strong protection. They totally cast that aside, and they make no accommodation or acknowledgement of that in any way, shape, or form. But ultimately, people should be able to make these decisions. I don't think people want this decision yanked away from them. I don't think they want to allow a precedent where the federal government could come in and just force you to do what it wants you to do. And make no mistake about it, those individuals who have gone through a normal vaccination series for COVID, you will be determined to be unvaccinated very soon. They will do that. They are going to tell you you're unvaccinated and you have to get a booster. Otherwise, you could potentially face loss of employment.
And they've already started doing that. So if you're one of those folks that said, "Well, I got 2 of the Moderna shots," now the CDC is saying that they're redefining what fully vaccinated means now. That means it means those of you who ran and got the Moderna and the Pfizer shot, who still has not yet been fully approved by the FDA, is still on the emergency use only. Only the booster shots they have approved. And this was the game plan, to line you up for the boosters. Right? So that means all of you who says I got my vaccine. Nope. They're about to tell you that even though you got 1 shot of this or 2 shots, you remember they told you the Johnson & Johnson is just a 1-shot thing. And you say, "Oh, I got the Johnson & Johnson, I'm good." Nope. Fauci's telling you now that there's a Delta strain, there's the Moose strain. New York has strain 8651, and California have 15B212, and this is what they're saying now, because they're lining you up now. Remember they said, "Oh, we weren't going for the children." Now they're going for ages 5 to 11. They're saying that in the headlines are saying the FDA has approved the vaccines for ages 5 to 11. But then when you're reading the article, it's saying that they approved the booster, but the headline is saying vaccine. They purposely lied to you in the headlines to mislead you. Because most people is not reading past the headlines. You're not going to read the actual article. Okay? So it's all been a lie, made up, make believe. So now when you think that you got the 1 shot or the 2-shot vaccine, they're going to tell you that, "Now, I'm sorry, you're not yet fully vaccinated. You have to get the booster for the Delta strain. You have to get the booster for the Moose strain. Every 6 months you got to get a booster for Delta. Every 6 months you got to get a booster for Mu. Every 6 months you got to get a booster for 8551 and 1B812 and 35 dash all these different strains now that they're claiming are out there. All these different strains. Now that it's proven that they actually created and weaponized this shit, a regular cold in a laboratory, and started pushing it out there in the public. And how did it get in your system? They supered up a regular cold and turned it into a level of like flu-like symptoms and pumped it into you. You figure out how they got this in your system. Then you put 2 and 2 together and ask yourselves, why was there an investigation of the deaths that's happening, or what they call COVID victims, being linked to the flu vaccine that folks took in 2002, 2006, going up to 2010? Let's keep going. Back it up, back a little bit. Back it up 20 seconds.
But it wants you to do, and make no mistake about it, those individuals who have gone through a normal vaccination series for COVID, you will be determined to be unvaccinated very soon. They will do that. They are going to tell you you're unvaccinated and you have to get a booster. Otherwise, you could face loss of employment or other types of penalties. So that is going to happen. They're not putting that in the rule, but they're already asking for feedback on how to do this going forward. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get more restrictive. There's going to be more power brought to bear going forward if we don't stand up now and fight back. I just think people are so sick. Hi, I'm Charles. If you like trading crypto like I do, how many of you
that's a commercial again. Going to cut this commercial.
Of constantly being
now, Pete, you heard what he told you? He didn't say that they're thinking about doing it. He said it's coming. Mind you, he's a governor, so he's one of the people that has to sit at the table when they're planning on doing what it is that they're planning. And he's already letting you know. Even though you've been vaccinated already, they're going to tell you that you're not fully vaccinated and they're going to start hitting you with boosters. You understand? And if you say no, you don't want the booster, they're going to fire you from your job or try to fire you from your job. Now, like I said, what the military and the federal workforce has been doing, they've been holding back the exemption forms for folks. And what companies like MedX and these other companies have been doing, have been telling the doctors who are underneath them, the hospitals and the medical facilities that get their staff from MedX, they've been telling them to deny medical exemptions. This thing is so rigged. It is so rigged. Now, for those folks who did get their medical exemptions and their religious exemption accepted, yeah. Now watch this. You have people out there now that has religious and medical exemptions. They didn't get vaccinated, and you can't even force them to wear a mask neither. Nor can you tell them that they have to go get weekly testing because they have their exemptions. You understand? But you who are vaccinated, that feels like you're so protected, is so worried about I that it's not vaccinated. Why? You're vaccinated because you know the fucking thing don't work. You know it doesn't stop you from getting sick. You know it. But you're still out there. Oh my God, you're not wearing your mask in the store. Oh, manager, I want him out of here. I want her out of here. Oh, you didn't get vaccinated. Oh, 6 feet apart. Get away from me. But you're vaccinated. What do you care? What do you care? You understand? It's straight asinine. Let's keep going.
Bossed around, restricted, mandated, all these different things. We've had enough of it. We want people to be able to make their own decisions. And so it is important to stand up for people's individual ability to make decisions for themselves. I also think it's just constitutionality is very significant, the individual freedom very significant. But put those even aside, what's the practical result of this? The practical result of this is this going to exacerbate a lot of the existing problems that we're seeing with the economy, particularly as it relates to the supply chain, the ability to get goods to
Particularly as
market.
a race.
This is not going to help the inflation that we've seen in the economy. I can tell you that is definitely not going to help making sure that the shelves are stocked in stores around this country. If you just take a very small fraction of, say, truckers, and that they lose their jobs as a result of this, that is going to be catastrophic, and you're going to see ripple effects throughout the entire economy. So
now, those of you who are subscribed to this platform or other platforms like this, you are already informed from 8 years ago that they started coming down on the farmers, telling them that they have to destroy more than half their food supply every year. They can't give it out to the people. They can't package, storage it, ship it out to the supermarkets. They have to destroy them. And if they don't comply to destroying them, that they're going to skyrocket land taxes on these farmers. You understand? So they're creating a food shortage. Now they created what is called the wild strain of COVID. Yeah. And they're burning down the forests and the rainforests, places where if you needed more seeds for your farm, yeah, you could go and get more seeds. If you needed more plants, more herbal plants for your medicine, you could go and get the seeds from those things, order the seeds, buy the seeds, start your own herbal garden, refresh, restock up back on your farm. You can't do that because they burnt down over 50 billion acres already of the Brazilian rainforest. And here they are burning out California every single year. And what that caused is a change in the atmosphere, which gives you a fake impression of a global warming. You understand? So when the man is mentioning shelves going bare, it's because they already pay. They are forcing farmers to destroy the crops. When he's talking about shortage of truck drivers, I got a friend that's a trucker. He has his own trucking company, and they be holding his trailers. They hold them for hours, days, past the deadline of when they're due. They're now coming down on the truckers. If they're not vaccinated, they can't drive. Food shortage. Truckers carry more than 90% of the supplies around the nation. Truckers. You understand? This is why I have so much respect for them. Because you see the conditions that they even drive in to make sure that the stores in your community get the supplies that they need. Like you are being told. Let's keep going. Let's back up a little bit more and then play it back.
Definitely not going to help making sure that the shelves are stocked in stores around this country. If you just take a very small fraction of, say, truckers, and that they lose their jobs as a result of this, that is going to be catastrophic, and you're going to see ripple effects throughout the entire economy. So, and then just from another practical perspective, they actually say in the rule, unvaccinated people are at risk because vaccinated people can get and transmit the Delta variant. And I think that is true. But how is it better for an unvaccinated person to get fired from their job? Do you think the first thing they're going to do is run out and get the jab?
Hear what he said? They said it. Now this is the governor. This is a governor telling you this. That they said that unvaccinated people are at risk from those who are vaccinated. So if you are unvaccinated, you are at risk for those who are vaccinated. Now, this is why it's important that you always ask what is in the vaccines that they're giving you, or is it really a vaccine? For full disclosure, so that you can make an informed consent decision. You understand? Because in a lot of these vaccines, they have aborted fetal cells, other components from other living people, animals. Okay, they'll also have what they call the virus itself in the vaccine. All right, so if this is a vaccine, then it has portions of the virus itself. So what they're doing is they're infecting you. That's what they've done, which is why you're a danger to those who are unvaccinated. Let's keep going. Let's go.
After they've already been fired over it? Of course they're not going to do that. I don't even see how this moves the needle in a positive direction for those folks. So this is going to cause more economic pain, and I think it's going to end up being a huge mistake. We need more people to fill a lot of these key positions, certainly in Florida, and I think in other parts of the country as well. This is only going to make it even more difficult. So state of Florida will be filing the lawsuit, which is very, very important. And I know there'll be other states that are doing it in other courts of appeals. Because it's an OSHA challenge, it goes directly to the 11th Circuit. And so we're going to be asking for a stay of this rule, which we think is very, very important. And then, of course, we're going to be having a special legislative session starting a week from Monday. And we want to provide protections for individual employees.
So you know why OSHA also added that stupid rule on their thing that Biden wanted them to put about the mask and you paying for your weekly vaccine testing? You know why? Because your union reps, when it first came and your union reps got the notion of what was about to happen, your union reps sat down with them and started making plea deals. And I told you, you can't. There's no such thing as making a plea when it comes to your body, your health. Your union reps started copping pleas. And in some of the incidences, some of the union reps is going along with it, and some of the incidences, the union reps just straight up turned it down. But the union rep should have never went and sat at the table with these folks anyway, because what these folks are doing is against the law, straight up. So when you sit at the table, you're coming to the table for negotiations. There's no negotiation. Respect the law, honor the law. So when you go and you volunteer to go get these jabs and these things, what you're doing, you're protecting the very same folks that lied about this stuff from day one. Because now they can add to their statistics, their numbers. See, these folks went ahead and got the jab, and these folks did this. That means you agreed to contract with them. You agreed to the human experimentation. So then people like you will have no case. None. Only the ones who are predominantly unvaccinated would have an actual case if these folks were foolish enough to fire these people for not getting this so-called vaccine because they're unvaccinated. But you went ahead and got vaccinated, so you contracted with them. Okay? Let's keep going. So your case would be a lot harder to fight. Let's back it up a little bit and keep going.
In other courts of appeals, because it's an OSHA challenge, it goes directly to the 11th Circuit. And so we're going to be asking
The 11th Circuit is like a
constitutional
constitutional, supposed to be a constitutional court.
And then, of course, we're going to be having a special legislative session starting a
Court
week
of
from
Appeals.
Monday. And we want to provide protections for individual employees in the state of Florida. They should not be getting fired over this. We want to make sure that that's something that's abundantly clear. We're also going to look at ways to be able to provide protections for businesses who may be subjected to potentially very harsh penalties. You know, they're going to fine people $14,000 for every single infraction. I don't know how they're going to enforce this. They're certainly not going to be able to enforce it in a way that is even-handed. And I think there's going to be huge problems with just administrability. But $14,000, you know, if you have a half dozen people, you're supposed to maintain, the employer is actually supposed to maintain these medical records now. So you thought you just went to the job and did your job, clocked out and went home and went about your business. Now your employer is going to be in charge of making sure that they have your medical records on file for this stuff. Is that really the direction that we want to go? Is that the type of economy that we want?
So, Pete, is what I've been saying that Cuomo was doing to the residents of New York, to the business owners of New York. When Cuomo said, hey, oh, you don't want to follow what I'm saying? Well, then don't be surprised if the city inspector comes to your place of business and finds something to shut you down. That's extortion. That's coercion. That's bullying for the businesses to comply with what unlawful acts he wants to pass down. Hence, vaccine cards and these things. The mayor also did that. Blasio also did that. Now be careful of the new mayor of New York, because just be careful. Okay? But anyway, so this is what they've been doing to the businesses, and they've been doing it to the small businesses, the mom and pop stores, because the small business makes up 60 to 65% of the economy. So when they were saying you're only supposed to have 5 people in the store and they're supposed to be 6 feet apart, and you walk into a McDonald's and the one McDonald's only have one worker literally in there, running the cashier, running the grill, all that. You're waiting 2 hours on a Dunkin' Donuts line. I see y'all people. Don't think I didn't. I see y'all. Lines stacked around the corner. You're doing pull-ups in driveways at Chick-fil-A and all these different places. Then you have the mayor talk about, look at this Five Guys burger right here. You too could get to this if you just go get vaccinated. Really? And it's the same ploy that the Prime Minister of Jamaica did when he got people to vote for him for free food. They all sat at this meeting, man, and discussed this stuff and the strategies of what they were going to do. And then taunted you. Taunted you. All of it was criminal, unlawful. Unlawful. Let's keep going. Let's go. Back it up some more and play.
Is actually supposed to maintain these medical records now. So you thought you just went to the job and did your job, clocked out and went home and went about your business. Now your employer is going to be in charge of making sure that they have your medical records on file for this stuff. Is that really the direction that we want to go? Is that the type of economy that we want to have? I don't think so. So we are going to be able to we need to do legislative response as well. And I think that that's something that will be, I think, even more so when a lot of people have been very concerned about this, even apart from this mandate, because there are large companies who are trying to do this anyways.
Oh, commercial again. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. There we go.
And people are very concerned about it, and it's something that hits very, very close to home for people. We called the legislative session. There was a lot of people that were happy about that, but I think now more people are understanding this is something that needed to be done. I mean, we've got to stand up. We've got to stand up for the constitutional order. We've got to stand up for the rights of individual Floridians and Americans, and we need to try to avoid bad policy that's going to end up hindering an already problematic national economy. And certainly in Florida, we've been.
Hear what he said? You have to stand up for the rights of the constitutional order. Going back to the Constitution. Every public servant, whether it be a policy officer, whether it be a public hospital worker, whether it be a county clerk, an alderman, congressman, senator, mayor, governor, police chief, sheriff, military men and women. They all took an oath to the Constitution. The Constitution is the national Constitution. Very first law of the first one, that is the law of the land, is what everyday life is supposed to be structured under when you are operating within this system. You understand? So if in the Constitution it says again, you have the right to be secured in your papers and your persons, and then an officer comes up to you and said, license and registration, he's violating the Constitution because you have all right to be secured in your papers and your persons. That's why that's why in the law tells you that you don't have to show a police officer your ID. Show a police officer your ID. When a police officer says, yes, you have to show me your ID, failure to identify. That's bullshit. There's no such fucking thing. There's no such thing. You understand? Now he himself is violating the law. The only way these things stand is if you committed murder, you crashed or you destroyed someone's property, okay? You harmed someone, and the person who's accusing you of committing these acts is there to point the finger literally at you. And you have the right to face your accuser that same day. So even if they take you to the precinct, they have to show you the person, the actual person. Now, if they say it's the officer himself that is pressing these charges on you, because if you read your police report, 9 times out of 10, it's the officer that's claiming that you did something to him, or claiming that he saw you do this and he saw you do that, and it's bullshit. You understand? You have to have someone outside of a public servant, some actual victim. And they can never show none. And here you are doing 24 hours, 72 hours in a jail cell or at the bookings, being held at the bookings. And your thing is, well, they ain't gonna hold me for no more than 72 hours. They're gonna let me go anyway. You should have never been there in the first place. That's the whole goddamn point. Because they made some stuff up, but because you don't know that, they got away with it. Now here you are paying all these court fees. Money that you probably could have used for your rent, money that could have probably went to your children, money that could have probably went to a family member that really needed it, that had to do surgery, something, child support, right? Fear to go to work. They spent money on all these court fees, all these tickets that they gave you, and now you don't have the fear to go to work, you lose your job over an unlawful arrest, which is in kidnapping. Automatically, when you are pulled over on the side of the road and you are not free to go, right there on the spot, that's kidnapping and that's an assault. An assault starts off verbal. If I pull you over and say, nope, you can't move, I assaulted you. It's assault is verbal. I assaulted you. Some officers will try to switch it to battery. Don't let them play word games with you. When they switch it to battery, it comes now back underneath their jurisdictional authority. It's assault. Let's keep going. Don't want to stray too far from the topic. Let's keep going. This is DeSantis, the Florida governor, dropping all these gems on you.
Americans, and we need to try to avoid bad policy that's going to end up hindering an already problematic national economy. And certainly in Florida, we've been able to buck some of those trends, but there's a lot of storms on the horizon. So why would we want to exacerbate that? So for all those reasons, I think people are really excited to come back here and to be able to make sure that the people of Florida have their voice heard on this. I've gone through a lot of it. I've seen some stuff. There's some interesting nuggets in here. You know, we're going to go through some more and make sure that folks are understanding kind of what's here. But they are asking for input about how much further they could go in the future. So I just want to warn people: is as far-reaching as this is only the beginning for what they're contemplating doing going forward. And so there's a lot of massive amount of federal power being exercised here, not through legislative sanction. Certainly that doesn't flow directly from the enumerated powers in the Constitution. This is coming from a federal agency, which is certainly not an agency that has ever been tasked with doing things like respiratory viruses. And so this is really, really significant. And I think it's a huge mistake, but I'm confident that this is not something that's ultimately going to pass constitutional muster. So we'll stand up. We'll stand up for the Constitution. We'll stand up for people's rights. We'll stand up for people's jobs. And I think that you will see this put on hold relatively quickly as these cases start to get filed. And with that, I can take a couple questions, Mike.
Now, when a judge rules against the Constitution, that shows you that that judge is corrupt. Well, that magistrate, yeah, that magistrate is corrupt, because there shall be no rulings against the Constitution. There shall be rulings only against things that contradict the Constitution. That goes against the Constitution. But if you rule against the Constitution itself, that is also voided. That ruling don't stand. It's not supposed to. You understand? But it just shows you the corruption of these judges. And if they try to use wordplay on you, because they love to use wordplay to talk around why they made their rulings and so on and so on, you must be astute. You got to pay attention to what it is that they're doing. Don't play. Let me see. Let's keep going here. So he's taking questions now.
I think it's a combination. I don't think that as elected officials we can just subcontract out people's freedoms to courts, because courts don't always come through when they need to come through. So we have a responsibility, regardless of what the courts would do, to protect people. But I will say, I think this is so far beyond what we've ever seen before that we get this up in the 11th Circuit. I think we have a very, very high chance of success, certainly in front of the whole court, if we get an en banc hearing. Of course, as you get these panels, it determines what kind of judge you get. You know, you may get different, but I think ultimately we will. I think they'll win in the 5th Circuit. I think we're also seeing challenges in the 6th and the 8th. And I would anticipate that. And I think you're going to see a lot of adverse rulings on this. And it will eventually go to the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that's clear. Yes, sir. Well, we definitely, our state will not be facilitating this in any respect, of course. I mean, we don't believe it's constitutional. So I think I wouldn't even need to do an executive order, but if I need to, I will, because.
Now, do you see when executive orders come into play? When these are things that violate the Constitution, then an executive order is supposed to come into play to back up the Constitution. You understand? Right? You hear what he says? He's not going to be implementing none of that bullshit in Florida because it's against the Constitution. It's that simple, people. If you got the jab, kudos to you. I'll hate you. I have no quarrels with you. But if I don't have the jab and you have an issue with me not having a jab and you go make a big stink about it, then now me and you have problems. You know why? Because if you have the jab and you feel like you're protected and you feel like you're protected, then what is the problem here? I thought the whole point of getting medicine or a shot is to be cured of a sickness. So if you're not cured and you're scared that you're going to get reinfected, then why you got the jab in the first place? And if people who already got the jab are infecting people who didn't get the jab, and people who got the jab are infecting people who also got the jab, listen to how stupid this shit sounds. What are you complaining about? It doesn't work. It don't work. Then they'll say, well, they said that, the numbers are a lot higher, but they didn't actually do that research. And Ron Paul put Fauci on blast day before yesterday about that. He didn't even answer none of Ron Paul's questions. None. There's no research to confirm none of the shit that they've been saying. And then when he said the recent studies that they shown, out of 38 million people that was jabbed or unjabbed, only 5 got reinfections. 5 out of 38 million. So where's your pandemic? So governors like this that actually knows what's going on and taking this hard stance against it, it's not that because he's a right wing or you're a leftist. So it's because it goes against the law, what they're doing. That's why he keep mentioning the Constitution. Then look at even Joe Biden. Joe Biden told you constitutionally I cannot do these things, and he's still doing it, even though he told you that the Constitution says that he can't do it. You understand? Remember when he had Al Sharpton and all them sellout ass coons in that Skype meeting, and they wanted him to do certain things in favor of them, and he just told them straight up, constitutionally I can't do it, so I'm not going to do it. But don't you understand? Constitutionally, I cannot do these things. And he said, F off with you. Thank you for the Negro vote. No longer need you. I'm in office now. Now I'm going to turn your world upside down. And he turned your world upside down. Period. And then threw the Constitution in your face. And bully ass Negroes. Pay attention. Now, I have another audio that I want to play, and this is for for everyone, but more so now for the people in the West Indies, right? Because again, I don't know if the pastor Kevin Smith, was this big time occultist sacrificing people and sex trafficking and all this shit. All I know is the 2 audios that the man played that he dropped in the public, telling everything that was to come, everything about how they're planning on taking over the military, how they were planning on using the military to build these facilities to store your bodies in after they starved you out and after they injected you with these poisonous shots. And after they low-key go in your communities and kill you off, okay, because of population control. All right? Now, listen to this. Let me get to this. This is the India news, right? Let me pull it up. Give me a sec here. Later for you, DeSantis. Much respect to you. Right. Let me see. Mhm. Wait. Oh, let's go here first. Let's do this first because everyone talk about pedophiles and stuff, and making it seem like this pastor was the if he was the only pedophile and the mass pedophile responsible for everything that was happening on the island and in other countries. But here you have the mayor. This is the mayor at a school board meeting. Okay, this is the mayor of. Let me click on the link. This is a school board mayor. That's now it says mayor demands school board members resign or face criminal charges. Watch for the old pedophilic act. And the mayor went to the school board meeting. It's in one of these states. They're gonna say it.
Members of the board, my name is Craig Schubert, the mayor of this city. It has come to my attention that your educators are distributing essentially what is child pornography in the classroom. I've spoken to a judge this evening. She's already confirmed that. So I'm going to give you a simple choice. Either choose to resign from this Board of Education, or you will be charged. Thank you.
That's a mayor that went to a school board meeting to let the school board members know that they've been playing child pornography in the classrooms, and that they resign or he's going to charge them because he's already went to the state judge about them, and he went straight to the meeting in their faces to let them know. That is a mayor. Okay. Now remember, you had so many opportunities to stop this stuff. When they told you that they're going to have teachers teaching your children about sex, and teachers teaching your children that there's no such thing as gender, and you didn't want other folks to feel bad, so you kept your mouth shut. That's when you were supposed to have spoken up. But you kept your mouth shut and you allowed these pedo perverts to sit here and have dildos in the school, teaching your children about how to use a dildo. I would never forget that when I saw that teacher to pull out the dildo. Hmm? Then telling you that, oh, neutral gender bathrooms. And look, a transgender boy not only raped once, raped twice. First school, he raped a little girl. They covered it up, transferred him to another school, and he raped another little girl. And then the mother's going to say, oh, he doesn't identify as transgender. He's heterosexual. He's really pansexual. Huh? So this is to show you the shit show of the world that we are in because of your acquiescence, your silence. You did nothing when you were supposed to do something. But let a false flag police shooting that they literally planned and orchestrated with the victim's parents, family, because this is how the occult actually works. You up in arms out there by the hundreds of thousands to march and get yet no result. But for these things, you don't want to affect, you don't want to um disrespect the gay community. Anywho, let me go find now what I was talking about. What Pastor Kevin Smith was warning people about. Let me find that audio. Pay attention. Here we go right here. Okay, fair use, fair use. Once again, we say fair use. And this is from. Hold on. This is from WION, right? They have 3.8 million subscribers. And they did this 2 weeks ago. This has 1.1 million views. Gravitas revealed how Pfizer blackmails countries for shots. Now, what did the Prime Minister of Jamaica give Pfizer for the Pfizer shots? The same Pfizer shots that's not been approved here in the States, only for emergency use only, has not been fully approved. So why are they giving it to you in the West Indies? Why are they giving it to you? Let's go.
Talking about common good, Wuhan virus vaccine is supposed to be a global public good. But what happens when a vaccine manufacturer starts bullying? Governments are silenced, supplies are halted, and profits take precedence over saving lives. I'm not describing a hypothetical situation here. I am describing what Pfizer is doing. The American pharma giant, it is doing all of this. It is bullying countries to submit to its demands. We first reported about this back in February this year.
Mm-hmm. You sure did?
While countries like India are sending free vaccines to poorer nations, there are companies like Pfizer which are bullying governments. Pfizer asked to be compensated for the cost of any future lawsuits. Pfizer wanted Argentina to put, and listen to this, put its bank reserves, its military bases, and its embassy buildings at stake as collateral. These are Pfizer's demands. Look at this. Number one, Brazil waives the sovereignty of its assets abroad in favor of Pfizer. That the rules of the land be not applied on Pfizer. Number three, that Brazil take into consideration a delay in delivery. Number four, that Pfizer is not penalized for it for a delay in delivery. And number five, in case of any side effects, Pfizer be exempted from all civil liability. 8 months have passed since we reported this. Pfizer has not changed. It is still putting profits above public health. It is still forcing governments to bend to its will. An advocacy group has thrown up more details of what Pfizer does. It has accessed some confidential contracts of Pfizer, and we have a copy. These contracts are with 9 countries and blocks, and the details are shocking. Desperate countries are being forced to make humiliating concessions to Pfizer. We went through the entire report. We found 6 very important points worth highlighting. Number one, Pfizer has the right to silence governments. It has forced countries to not talk about the deals they strike for shots. Number two, Pfizer controls the donations of its shots, not the country that buys them. Pfizer will decide where the shots go. Number three, Pfizer has secured an intellectual property waiver for itself, and this clause is particularly disturbing. If Pfizer is accused of intellectual property theft, governments will pay, not the company. Number four, if there are disputes, private arbitrators and not public courts will decide on them. Number five, Pfizer can go after state assets to secure its compensation. And number six, Pfizer calls the shots on all key decisions. It decides delivery timelines and more.
What? So I say to you, Sir Andrew Holness and Sir Patrick Allen of Jamaica, Governor General and Prime Minister, what did you give up to Pfizer for them to send you 200 doses of their vaccine? Because they're asking for your military bases, your embassy. What does a pharmaceutical company need with a fucking military base and an embassy? Hmm? What do they need? Huh? You can't make this stuff up. So when you're seeing people tell you that in their eyes, Andrew Holness could do no wrong, and the man is literally and the man that they're killing in the public's eye, a man that is dead and not here to defend himself, killing a dead man, running his name through the muck. He's not here to defend himself. This man, this dead man, before he died, told you that this is what they're doing. All this that they just named on this Indian news broadcast. That yes, and she was right. They did mention this 8 months ago. They did, and no one paid attention to it. So now they reiterating it because now they have the sealed documents from the Pfizer company, and they're reading it off to you now. I got to try to get those documents, right? So what did the prime minister give them? because they're asking for military bases, they're asking for the embassy. Then they control whether they give out the shot or not, when they give out the shot. They dictate all terms. So what did he give them? What did your governor general and your prime minister give them? What? Hmm? If you don't wake up and you're still on this PMP versus labor right bullshit, and you're still on this PMP versus labor right bullshit, Democrats versus Republican bullshit, Labor Party versus this party bullshit, all of you are going to find yourselves back underneath a Nazi Germany rule where you are locked down, need a passport card to go any and everywhere, to say that you can't travel to this area here, you can travel to that, and if you don't have it, you can't even go across the street to the store to buy milk, to buy food, to buy diapers for your baby, baby bottles. And I'm sure what the prime minister is going to say, well, we are bankrupt. Jamaica is not bankrupt. Jamaica has never been bankrupt. Never been bankrupt. The business that they created, that they ran into the ground, has been bankrupt. That has nothing to do with the land on the people. Has nothing to do with you. You, the people, the island itself is not bankrupt. The corporation that they created as an asset for the crown is bankrupt because it is a subsidiary of the United States federal corporation, which declared bankruptcy in 1933. And here they came from that time on in 1962 and created a corporate document that they brought over to England for the Queen to sign off on, and gave you no opportunity, no proper time frame for you to come and say, yo, yes, you want it, no, you don't want it. Then they rewrote your motto, right? From saying Indian in the motto to out of many one people, right? Pay attention. Jamaica, Jamaica, that's a corporation. Zamaka, Zamaka, or Zaimaika, or Shamaika, it's spelled the same way. That people pronounce the X with a Z or a sh. Okay? That is the land. And the people of that land are Arawaks, West Indians, have nothing to do with Africa, Afro, Caribbean, nothing to do with none of that shit. All those things have been a lie. They need you to claim to be Afro-Caribbean because that goes underneath the Jamaica corporation that they created to steal your land and your identity away from you so that they can sell the land to the Chinese, to the Israelis, to the Saudis, to all these different people, all these different type of ethnic background groups, all these different foreigners that is colonizing your land. Because when you stop identifying as a West Indian, yeah, because the West Indian is not an African, nor descendants of African. The West Indian is the descendants of American Indians. Okay? When you stop identifying as such, you forfeited your land. And all these foreigners came and claimed eminent domain and took your shit. Period. Wake up. You heard what that Florida governor told you? It's just beginning. So when people's just telling y'all, oh, we're in the end game, we're in the end game. Oh, this is it. This is it. And I've been telling you also that nope, this is just the beginning. You're in the baby stages. You have not seen nothing yet. If you let this continue on for the next 100 years to 1,000 years, you are going to be under a rule of oppression that you've never seen before. Even Donald Trump warned you. Donald Trump said, if this man becomes president, which is Biden, you think you've seen a recession? You're going to see a recession and a depression that you've never seen in no lifetime. None. And you're seeing it happen now. You're in the first stages of it. And when they see that certain things they're not going to be able to do to you on a certain level, what they're going to start doing now is creating mass shootings all over. Well, they already started doing it. Fake mass shootings all over the place. Some of them is real because they believe in human sacrifice. So they'll send a man to go shoot up a mall. They'll send a man to go shoot up a post office. You know all them postal shootings? They used to happen in the 80s and the early 90s. They'll send a man to do these things. They'll send a man to go crazy in the subways and cut people. These are blood sacrifices. Because they know now that, okay, we didn't get to finish this full phase of our plan here. We are going to have to shut them down even more, but we're going to have to get their guns taken away from them. Now they have the Supreme Court ruling on gun laws right now, which is going on right now. This is how corporations do their business. And you, the outsider, the citizen, the person that went and took on titles of a citizen, that came out of the private to go in the public, you are the one that's behind the clouds, don't even know what's happening. But when folks like us are showing you the proof, showing you what's going on, you laugh. Oh, that's a conspiracy. I don't believe that. Oh, and my governor and my president, your president? What? What are you talking about? You understand? So when you still have people telling you this prime minister could do no wrong, but throwing all the dirt on the other opposition party, those people are corrupt people. Corrupt people. It's not about you being JLP, PMP. It's not about you being Democrat, Republican, Green Party. It's not about none of that. What do you want? You want to live a comfortable life. You want to live a life with very minimum stress as possible. You want to live a life where you don't have to worry that if you step outside your house, you're going to be robbed, gunned down, raped, molested, right? You want to live a life where if you agree to work for someone, you are being treated fair wages, fair hours, right? This is a life you want to live. So there shouldn't be a separation in this political thing where you have this party over here or that party over here. Everyone should have that understanding, that comprehension of this is what we want. You want to live a life where a corporation is not telling you that you have to pay them taxes, especially if you invent something out of thin air. You pull something out of thin air and you made gold out of thin air. Here comes a corporation. If you're going to sell that, you're going to have to pay us some taxes. But then no one asks, who is the corporation? Who is the government? Who? Who actually owns the building that the government resides in? Who funds the government? Who owns the machines that the government prints their fiat dollars out of? Who? There's an actual person that owns these things. Who gives $60 million to a politician to fund their campaign, but then yet still turn back around and tell that politician, oh, you have to pay $50 million for my news station to broadcast your shit, run your commercials. You see the scam here? You see the scam. But there's a truck driver in New Jersey. I think he became senator or congressman with just $150 of his own money. He ran his campaign with $150 and won. $150 and won. Do you understand? The same places that you're paying taxes to, you're literally paying taxes to an actual person that owns the machine that prints out the money, and they're taxing you for using their money. Because that's their paper dollar. And then they have their representative that signs off on the money. Because if you look on the money, you see a signature, someone's name written on your money, on that money, which is not yours. Then the banks charge you a fee, and so on and so. But because they have you under the guise that it's your money, once you work, and here goes your boss giving you your paycheck, now that's your money, and you put it in the bank, right? So now you're under the auspice that it's your money. You want to go buy a house, you go to the bank for a bank loan. The bank is literally lending you back your own money. It's confusing, but you have to know how to split them up and how to use them. You understand? Now you're paying back a bank all this money for your house loan within your mortgage. The interest, all these things is going back to this bank. This bank that never printed that money. This bank that never put that money in their vault. It's literally you went with your paychecks every month. Another person went with their paycheck every month, so on and so. A bank that's literally on the stock market that makes back this money 10 times over. Money that they actually take out of your social, your pensions, and all these things. This is how they do it. It's yours. Know the world you live in, because these people are coming to clamp down on you so hard. So hard. They're going to try to move you more into more clammed up environments, into a city environment. You see New York City, Jersey is starting to flood out now, right? They're starting to flood Jersey and New York during these supposed storms. Massive flooding is happening. But a lot of you call yourself children of the Most High. A lot of you call yourself children of the Creator. A lot of you say you're big Christians, you're big Muslims, you're this, you're that. But you don't take time to really know the Most High. Because if you really took time to know the Most High, then you'll take time to know what the Most High created. So you'll know that every land has what they call bottomless holes, that in case there's massive rain and flooding, all that water rushes down in that hole and it never fills up. Do you understand? So if there is flooding now going on in places where flooding has never usually taken place, these people who runs these construction companies and these things have figured out a way how to clog these holes or build a mechanism over it to where now they can control whether they flood you out or not, aka even with the levees. Look how they broke the levee to flood out New Orleans. Look how they broke the levee to flood out Portmore and these places in Jamaica. And the people I'm asking to this very day for it to be fixed, and they're telling the people, we're broke, we can't fix it. What? Do you people understand, comprehend what's happening? And here you have a lot of politicians now coming out telling you what's going on. But because they're not in your Labor Party, you're saying F them. You don't even want to hear what they got to say. That is your own ignorance. And it's going to come back to bite you. Information is information. I don't care who and where it's coming from. If you give me some information and I actually look into it, not a 5 minute Google search, I actually deep rootedly research and look into it, and I see that it is true, I'm rocking with it. If I see that it's false or you're being misleading in certain places, I'm gonna call you out on where you're being misleading at, but I'm gonna showcase where you're being truthful at. You understand? Like, know the creation of the Most High. You must know the earth that you live on. Know what the earth has. The earth itself has many contingencies for floods, massive fires, tornadoes. But when man starts interfering with what is natural, then you have great disasters, great floods, massive fires. You understand? Man interferes with what is natural, but what the Most High created. You want to be closer to the Most High? Get to know what He created and why He created it. Every element, every little section, everything, down to even the little fire ant. What does a fire ant means to the environment? What does a mosquito means to the environment? Why do they fill these mosquitoes with poisons and then release them back? You know, they released a whole bunch of experimental mosquitoes last year in Florida, and people now are catching an unknown disease from mosquitoes. And they made it public that they were going to release genetically enhanced mosquitoes in Florida. Now, why would they go after the mosquitoes? Why are they killing off the bees? Why? What roles do these things play on the environment in your natural survival? Hmm? Everything that's good for the environment, they making you feel like, oh, the bat coronavirus and the swine flu and bird flu, everything to make you say, oh my gosh, a bird, ew, ew, ew. The bird is gonna make me get sick. Oh, that cat is gonna make me get sick. Oh god damn it, the mosquito. I don't want to catch no West Nile and stuff from the mosquito. But if a bat don't shit on the soil, it's not fertile. A tree won't grow. If the birds don't do the same thing, a tree won't grow. It won't. And when an animal have too much infections in them and too many other bacterial elements are out there, mosquitoes get rid of those things. You heard Ron Paul break down what range of motion research is. You heard Fauci says, no, the NIH never funded range of motion research. I've never been a part of that, and the NIH has never been a part of that. But then the NIH comes right out and says, yep, the CDC has funded range of motion research, and we have funded range of motion research. And what is that? When they take the common cold and weaponize it, just like they did HIV, just like they did with cancer, just like they did with the flu, herpes, syphilis. These were things that were created and enhanced in a laboratory. Yes, gain of function research. Gain of function research. Thank you. You're in the age where everything is being exposed to you in your face and you're being ignorant and ignoring it because they've been sanctioning, they've been censoring all the information that goes against what they're trying to push out there. And your thing is, well, they're censoring it because it's all conspiracy. How do you know that? Did you look into it? No. Well, go look into it. I don't got no time for that. But you're still here, still trying to convince me that has looked into it, that has all these documentations, paperwork, research, and you're still here looking at me, telling me to get rid of all of that because this person here says, this person whose family has a history of wiping out people that looks like me. You fucking crazy. What are you smoking? Hmm? they are literally pushing the caste system right in front of you. Okay, caste system right in front of you. Right. I just want people to wake up, make sense out of nonsense, start reading more, start researching. Less television, less partying, more family time, more family structured events, hmm? More reading and researching when you can. You got an hour break for lunch. You pre-cook your meal, your lunch at home. You go on your break and you pull up some research while you're on your break and start researching. You got a little. You're taking a quick 15 for research. You have to strengthen the biggest weapon the Most High gave you, which is your brain, so that you can teach your children, your nephews, your nieces, your cousins, those who are the next generation coming up, not to fall for this that's happening here today, so that they can be the change of tomorrow. You understand? Not be programmed, not go to college and join these frats and sororities and be sneakingly programmed. And then by the time you realize that you've been programmed, you're stuck into something that you realize, oh shit, now you can't get out of it. Trapped in how many years of therapy? Why was I doing this? Why can't I stop? The art of psychology on you. Wake up. The first thing I'll tell you guys to read, if you, wherever country you live in, read the constitution of your country. Then you go into what is called the ICCPR. Google that and take it from there. Okay? Take it from there. Because all races is about to be under the rule of an iron fist if all people don't wake up. Period. With that being said, I can't put the link to the podcast in the chat. If there's someone that has a link to the podcast, could you please drop it in the chat for me? I'm not able to put it in there right now, but our podcast that has a lot of information on COVID and these things. It's called Shatabi Media. That's XTABIMEDIA. You type it into Google, you type it into any search engine, it comes up. We are on Encore, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Owl Podcasts. We're on like 9 different platforms, right? So yeah, I know that Encore, that everything plays flawlessly through Encore, and I believe Google and the Apple Podcasts. Right. So yeah. So that's Shatabi Media. That's XTABIMEDIA. I'll put the link when this is finished uploading. I'll put the link in the top of the chat. If you don't see it in the top of the chat, they have like 3 lines that you click on that will show the chat, right? Because sometimes they hide the chats. So and it will show. I'll pin it in the chat, so it will show, and then you can click on the link and get to the podcast. The podcast is filled with information about this stuff that's going on, and what American RX and I started doing, we started uploading some of our own like this will be uploaded onto the podcast as well, right? That's what we started doing. So that podcast is an information stored site of audio files, right? From other platforms and so on and so. Thank you, Chase Truth. Thank you. So that's the link right there. Okay, and y'all will get the damn near entire series with Robert Gallo breaking down vaccines during his dissertation, his deposition, right? And this is the man that before they do anything with vaccine, they go to get his approval because he's the godfather of this shit. And he tells you straight up that his automatic first response is yes, go do it. Yes, it's good, without even testing it to see if it's good. And they run with it. And he worked for Pfizer, he worked for Moderna, he worked for Johnson and Johnson, he worked for all these companies. Fauci and them looks up to this man. You understand? And this man, his last vaccine that he's ever gotten was for diphtheria when he was a child. He's 80 something years old now. Never gotten another one since. And these are the people that's pushing you to go get vaccinated. Look at Joe Biden's aide. She got COVID and her entire family is double, triple jabbed up. And she still got COVID, so they say. And they want to tell you that Biden doesn't have it. And now he has another aide that was with him that has it. And they want to say that he doesn't have it. You understand? And they coming up with this sorry ass excuse because they want to say that this is the reason why his mandate should stand. But she's triple jabbed up and she still caught it. So they say. But anyway, I'm getting out of here with that. Allegedly. Pens and pad. I think that was on the pen and pad was on the first channel that they took down. So I don't think it's still up there. It's not. I don't think it's up on this one. Right? This. I'll check because they had took this one down too, this channel down, and they gave it back to me. But I think that's because of certain documentations and stuff that was pushed through. They gave me back this one. But I'll see because they deleted some of my other videos. The first platform had over 2,000 videos on there, 2,000 streams and stuff that I did on there. They took that down. So I have this is the first backup, and then I have the second backup now. But I'll check and see if I have it. I'll post it in the community section. I'll post it. All right. So yeah. All right. Peace, love to you all. Thank you all for joining. Have a safe day and may the Most High keep you and protect you. Peace.